The Last Call on Westport, brought to you by Short AI Stories, publishing and web designs by OHS Publishing. Looking for web design or SEO, call OHS Publishing. By the time the fourth round of drinks arrived, Maya Ellis had already decided the night would become a story. Not just a story they told each other later, when life had split them into different cities and jobs and apartments with mismatched furniture. Not just one of those senior year memories that softened around the edges with time. No. This was going to be legendary. The rules are simple, Maya announced, standing on the sidewalk in Westport with one hand raised like she was swearing them into some sacred club. Her black UMKC hoodie was tied around her waist, her curls haloed by the neon glow of a bar sign behind her. No going home before midnight, no talking about finals, no talking about careers, no crying about graduation. I already hate Rule 3, Jordan said. You cry during phone commercials, Priya told him. They're emotional on purpose. Eli laughed and lifted his plastic cup. To the last semester. To surviving UMKC, Priya added. To Westport, Maya said. They clinked cups hard enough to splash beer onto the sidewalk. The night had started warm for March, with the kind of false spring energy that made Kansas City students act like summer had arrived early. Westport Road was alive with music spilling from open doors, patio heaters glowing red, people laughing too loudly, rideshares idling along the curb, and groups of students moving in clusters from one bar to the next. Maya, Jordan, Priya, and Eli had been friends since freshman orientation, when they had gotten lost together looking for a lecture hall and accidentally wandered into a faculty luncheon. Maya had eaten 2 croissants before realizing they were not supposed to be there. Jordan had panicked and introduced them all as student ambassadors. Priya had corrected his grammar in the middle of the lie. Eli had somehow walked out with a campus map, 3 cookies, and a professor's business card. That had been the beginning. 4 years later, they were standing in Westport on a Friday night, trying not to admit that everything was about to change. Maya had a marketing job lined up in Chicago. Priya was headed to medical school in St. Louis. Jordan had been accepted into a theater program in New York, but kept saying he was still thinking about it, even though everyone knew he had already bought a coat dramatic enough for the subway. Eli was staying in Kansas City for a tech job, which he pretended was practical, but was really because he hated goodbyes. So they did what people do when the future gets too close. They drank, laughed, and made the night feel endless. They started on a crowded patio beneath string lights, where Jordan told an exaggerated version of the time Eli had fallen asleep in Miller Nichols' library and woken up during a campus tour. Then they moved to a narrow bar with sticky floors and a jukebox that seemed permanently stuck between country songs and 2000s pop. Priya ordered something blue and immediately regretted it. Maya made them all take a blurry selfie beneath an old brick archway. Eli kept saying, "We should pace ourselves," while accepting every drink placed in front of him. Around 11:45, the fog rolled in. At first, nobody noticed. Westport always had a way of making the air feel smoky and strange after midnight, but this fog was different. It moved low and thick over the street, curling around parked cars and patio chairs, swallowing the glow of headlights until everything looked softened, older. Very cinematic, Jordan said, waving a hand through it. Westport said we needed atmosphere, Maya replied. Westport needs to mind its business, Priya said, pulling her jacket tighter. They were standing in the alley between 2 old buildings, arguing over whether to call it a night or find one more stop, when the stranger appeared. He stepped out of the fog like he had been waiting for applause. He was tall and sharply dressed, wearing a dark green velvet jacket, a cream-colored shirt with the collar open, and polished shoes that looked too expensive for the cracked pavement. His hair was slicked back, silver at the temples, though his face seemed too young for it. In one hand he held a small black pouch. "You four look like you're celebrating something," he said. Jordan smiled immediately. Jordan loved strangers. This was one of his worst qualities. "Graduation," Jordan said. "Almost." "UMKC," Maya added. The man's smile widened. "Ah, scholars, dreamers, future heartbreakers of the world." "Mostly tired people with loans," Eli said. The stranger laughed. It was a warm laugh, smooth and practiced, like a bartender's laugh. "Then you deserve something better than the usual last stop." Priya narrowed her eyes. "This feels like the start of a scam. The best invitations always do." He opened the pouch and tipped 4 objects into his palm. They were tokens. Each one was the size of a silver dollar, old-looking but strangely clean. The metal was dark bronze, custom minted with a raised image of a cellar door on one side and the words "Founders Cellar" on the other. Around the edge were tiny letters Maya had to squint to read. "Last call is only the beginning." "That's dramatic," Jordan said, delighted. The stranger gave each of them 1 token. "There's a place beneath Westport," he said. "Older than the bars, older than most of what you see here. Not everyone finds it. Not everyone is invited. But tonight the cellar is open." Eli turned the token over in his fingers. "An underground bar?" "Speakeasy," the stranger corrected. "Is this legal?" Priya asked. The man grinned. "At this hour, in this city, legality is just another locked door." Maya should have said no. She knew that later. She would think about that moment so many times that it became polished in her memory, like a stone rubbed between nervous fingers. They should have laughed it off. They should have gotten tacos. They should have called an Uber and gone home to Eli's apartment, where they could have drunk water, eaten frozen pizza, and fallen asleep on the couch with a bad movie playing. But the token felt heavy in Maya's palm, and the future was waiting for them just beyond the weekend, and none of them wanted the night to end. "Where?" Maya asked. The stranger pointed down the alley, toward a dumpster behind one of Westport's oldest brick buildings. "You'll see the stairs." Then he stepped back into the fog. Not walked. Stepped. 1 second he was there. The next the fog folded around him, and he was gone. For a moment nobody said anything. Then Jordan whispered, "Absolutely yes." "Absolutely no," Priya said. "Come on," Jordan pleaded. "This is exactly the kind of thing we said we wanted tonight." "I said I wanted fries," Eli said. Maya stared toward the dumpster. Behind it, half hidden beneath a rusted metal awning, was a narrow stairwell descending into darkness. The brick around it looked old enough to have held up another century. A single bulb flickered above the steps. Maya lifted her token. The metal was cold. "Just a look," she said. Priya groaned. "That sentence has murdered people in every horror movie." "Then we'll be the smart ones," Maya said. "We look, we decide, we leave." "That sentence also murders people," Priya replied. But she followed. They moved the dumpster just enough to slip behind it, laughing at the absurdity, the smell of stale beer and wet cardboard rising around them. The stairwell breathed cold air up from below. Not basement cold, deeper cold, forgotten cold. Maya went first. The stairs were steep and crumbling, the brick walls damp on either side. Their phone flashlights bounced across old mortar, scratched initials and rusted pipes. Somewhere below, music played. Jazz, soft trumpet, brushed drums, piano chords shimmering like light on water. At the bottom of the stairs was a black door with no handle, only a coin-sized slot. The 4 of them looked at each other. "This is either incredibly cool Jordan said, "or how we get turned into a documentary." Maya slid her token into the slot. The door unlocked with a deep, satisfying click. Warm, golden light spilled out. The founder's cellar was beautiful. That was the first thing Maya noticed, and for a few minutes, it was the only thing that mattered. It didn't look like some illegal basement bar. It looked like a secret the city had kept polished and perfect for more than a century. The ceiling was low and arched, made of old brick. Brass lamps glowed on velvet-covered tables. The bar itself stretched along the far wall, dark wood carved with vines, lions, and curling script. Bottles glittered behind it in colors Maya had never seen liquor take before: emerald, amber, violet, ruby. A jazz band played in the corner, dressed in crisp black suits. The trumpet player's cheeks shone with sweat. A woman in a silver dress sang into an old microphone, her voice smoky and low. The crowd was dazzling. Men in suits, women in flapper dresses, people in modern clothes too, though somehow everyone looked like they belonged, like the room was adjusting itself around them. "Okay," Jordan said softly. "This is sick." Priya's suspicion wavered. "It's actually gorgeous." Eli looked back at the door. "Let's keep track of exits." "Always the romantic," Maya said. A bartender appeared in front of them before they had fully reached the bar. He was broad-shouldered and older, with a thick gray mustache, rolled-up sleeves and eyes so pale they looked almost silver. He wore a vest over a white shirt, and his hands moved with calm precision as he polished a glass. "First time?" he asked. Maya nodded. "Then the house welcomes you." He placed 4 drinks on the bar. None of them had ordered. Each cocktail was different. Maya's was deep red with a curl of orange peel. Jordan's shimmered gold. Priya's was clear with a single black cherry at the bottom. Eli's was dark and smoky, a tiny ribbon of vapor rising from the glass. "What are these?" Priya asked. The bartender smiled. "What you came in needing." "That is not an answer," Eli said. "It rarely is." Jordan lifted his glass. 2 bad decisions. "Hydration," Eli muttered, but he picked his up. Maya hesitated. The drink smelled like cinnamon, citrus, and something she could not place. Something nostalgic, like walking into her grandmother's house in winter, like being 7 years old and safe. She took a sip. The warmth spread through her immediately. Not alcohol warmth, memory warmth. For a second, she was back on her mother's porch in Raytown, listening to rain tick against the gutters while her father grilled too late into October. She could hear her little brother laughing. She could smell wet leaves. Then she blinked, and she was back in the cellar. "That's dangerously good," she said. Priya took 1 small sip of hers and frowned. "What?" Eli asked. "It tastes like..." She looked embarrassed. "My first piano recital." Jordan stared at his gold drink. "Mine tastes like applause." "Of course it does," Eli said. They found a booth beneath a wall of framed photographs. The booth was plush and dark green, the table lit by a small lamp with a beaded shade. For a while, the night became magical again. They toasted. They laughed. They talked about freshman year, about professors they loved and hated, about the weird loneliness of almost becoming different people. Jordan made Priya promise to visit him in New York. Priya made Eli promise he would not become one of those tech guys who says, "circle back," unironically. Maya made all of them promise that no matter what happened, they would have dinner together every year. "Same date," she said. "Same place?" Jordan asked. Maya looked around the cellar. "Maybe not the same place." A flash of light caught her eye. One of the photographs on the wall. She leaned closer. It showed a crowded bar scene, men in hats, women with bobbed hair and beaded dresses, champagne glasses raised. The image was sepia-toned, the edges worn. At the bottom, written in looping script, was the date, October 31st, 1926. Maya smiled at first. Then the smile faded. Because standing in the back of the photograph, laughing with one hand lifted, was a woman wearing the exact silver dress as the singer currently on stage. Not similar, exact. Same face, same smile, same beauty mark beneath her left eye. Maya glanced toward the stage. The singer's eyes found hers. The woman smiled without missing a note. Maya's skin prickled. "Guys," she said. Jordan was telling a story and didn't hear her. Maya looked at the next photo. This one was dated 1954. A group of young men in Letterman jackets crowded around the bar. Behind them, half obscured, stood their bartender. Same gray mustache, same pale eyes. The next photograph was dated 1978, then 1993, then 2008. The same faces kept appearing, sometimes in different clothes, sometimes in the background, sometimes front and center, smiling, always smiling. Maya's pulse quickened. "Eli," she said. He followed her gaze. His expression changed immediately. "Okay," he said. "We're leaving." "Finally," Priya said, though her voice had gone thin. Jordan groaned. "Because of creepy photos? Come on, that's probably the gimmick." "Cool," Eli said. "Then the gimmick can watch us leave." They stood. The room seemed louder suddenly. Too loud. The trumpet slid into a note that trembled on the edge of wrongness. They crossed back toward the door they had entered through. Eli pushed it open. Brick. Solid brick filled the doorway from top to bottom, rough, old, and damp. There was no stairwell, no alley, no way out. Jordan laughed once, not because it was funny, but because his mind could not find another sound. "Okay," he said. "That is a very committed gimmick." Priya shoved past him and touched the brick. She knocked on it, pressed her palms against it, dug her nails into the mortar. "It's real," she whispered. Maya spun back toward the bar. The bartender was watching them. So was everyone else. The music slowed. Not stopped. Slowed. The trumpet stretched into a warped, underwater groan. The singer's voice dropped into a deep, distorted tone. The people around them turned their heads in perfect unison. Then their faces began to change. A young man at the nearest table smiled, and his lips split too wide. A woman in pearls blinked, but her eyelids closed sideways. A man in a modern chief's jacket lowered his drink, and for a second his face flickered, skin thinning to reveal hollow eyes and a jaw stretched like old leather. The beautiful crowd peeled apart. Underneath were the trapped. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Ghouls in party clothes. Spirits wearing whatever they had died in, or vanished in, or surrendered piece by piece. Their eyes were empty wells. Their smiles trembled between hunger and sorrow. The bartender rang a small brass bell. The sound cut through the room. "Midnight has passed," he said. "The cellar keeps what is given." "What do you want?" Maya demanded. The bartender tilted his head. "Want? No, no. Want is for the living. The cellar simply drinks." Eli grabbed Maya's wrist. "Run." There was nowhere to run, but they ran anyway. They pushed through the crowd, past velvet booths and laughing dead patrons. A woman in a flapper dress grabbed at Priya's sleeve, whispering, "Don't drink another, sweetheart." A man in a 1970s denim jacket sobbed into an empty glass. A boy who looked no older than 19 stood frozen near the piano, mouthing the same words over and over. I forgot my name. They found a hallway behind the bandstand. It had not been there before. The hallway was narrow, lined with doors. Each door bore a brass plaque. Memory, name, Home. First love. Future. At the end of the hallway hung a clock, its hands pointed to 12:17. Below it, engraved into the wall, were the words, "Last call, 3 a.m." Priya's breathing hitched. "This isn't happening." Jordan leaned against the wall, pale and sweating. "I don't remember my sister's face." Everyone went still. "What?" Maya asked. Jordan pressed his hands to his temples. "I know I have a sister. I know her name is... I know it starts with..." He looked up, terrified. "I can't see her face." Maya's stomach dropped. "The drinks," Eli said. Priya backed away from them as if the glasses were still in their hands. "Every drink takes something." Maya tried to picture her father on the porch. For one horrifying second, the image blurred. "No," she whispered. The hallway shifted. The door labeled "Name" creaked open. Inside was a room full of mirrors, but the reflections did not match them. In one mirror, Maya saw herself older, wearing a velvet dress, seated forever in a booth with a drink in her hand. In another, Eli stood behind the bar, polishing glasses with pale, dead eyes. Priya appeared inside a framed photograph, smiling beside strangers in 1920s clothes. Jordan was on stage, singing with no voice. The door slammed shut. A voice spoke behind them. "You're looking for Harlan Bell." They turned. A woman stood in the hallway. She wore a denim jacket over a faded 1990s concert shirt. Her hair was cropped short, her face drawn and grey, but her eyes were still human enough to hurt. "Who?" Maya asked. "The original bartender," the woman said. "Harlan Bell. Built this place when Westport was still rough roads and horse mud. Men came through with gold, whiskey, and secrets. He wanted a bar that would never close. So he made a bargain." "With what?" Eli asked. The woman looked toward the walls. The brick pulsed faintly, like something breathing. "With the thirst underneath the city." Priya swallowed. "How do we get out?" "You challenge him before 3. Game of chance, game of memory, game of truth. Win and the door opens." "And lose?" Jordan asked. The woman's face crumpled. From the main room, the camera flash came again. A new photograph appeared on the wall. Jordan went rigid, his body flickered. "Jordan," Maya said. He looked down at his hands. They were turning translucent. "No," he said. "No, no, no." The ghouls in the main room began to clap, slowly, hungrily. Jordan stumbled backward. Priya grabbed him, but her hands passed through his arm for half a second. "Maya," he said, voice breaking. "I don't remember my last name." Maya seized his face between her hands. "Jordan Hayes. You are Jordan Hayes. You cried during that insurance commercial. You once pretended to be a student ambassador. You owe me $40 from sophomore year." He laughed and sobbed at the same time, but the cellar was stronger. A gold light pulled him backward. His body stretched into a blur of motion, dust, and camera smoke. Then he was gone. On the wall outside the hallway, a new photograph hung. Jordan stood in the center of it, wearing his UMKC sweatshirt beneath a 1920s suit jacket, one arm slung around a man with a bowler hat. His smile was frozen. Maya screamed. Priya lunged toward the photo, clawing at the frame. "Give him back!" The bartender's bell rang again. 2 hours, he called. The room cheered. They found Harlan Bell behind the original bar, not the broad-shouldered bartender with the gray mustache. That man was only a mask, a shape the cellar wore. Harlan Bell sat at a small round table in a private alcove behind red curtains, shuffling a deck of cards so old the edges looked burned. He wore a black waistcoat and a string tie. His face was gaunt, his beard neatly trimmed, his eyes the same pale silver as the bartender's. He looked less like a ghost than a man who had been alive too long and hated every minute of it. Maya, Priya, and Eli stood before him. Harlan smiled. "Students," he said, "always full of the future. The seller likes the future best." "We challenge you," Eli said. Harlan's smile sharpened. "Do you understand the stakes?" "No," Priya said, "but I understand you're going to cheat." He laughed, delighted. "Excellent. Then perhaps we'll have sport." He laid 4 objects on the table: a card, a brass key, a shot glass filled with black liquid, and one of the bronze tokens. 3 trials, Harlan said. Chance, memory, truth. Win 2, and you leave. Win 3, and you may take back what the seller has claimed tonight. Maya's heart slammed against her ribs. "Jordan," she said. "And anyone else taken after midnight," Harlan replied. Priya looked up. "Anyone else?" The camera flashed again. Eli made a small choking sound. His body flickered. "No," Maya said. Eli stared at her with wide, apologetic eyes. "I forgot my mom's voice." The seller pulled him. Maya grabbed for him. Priya did too. For 1 second, all 3 of them held on. Then Eli smiled sadly. "Win," he said. The gold light took him. Another photograph appeared. Eli was at the bar in his UMKC hoodie, holding up a glass beside a group of people from the 1950s. Frozen, smiling. Gone. Maya felt something inside her try to break. Priya gripped her hand hard enough to hurt. "We're getting them back," Priya said. Her voice shook, but it did not bend. Harlan gestured to the table. "Chance first." The card deck shuffled itself. 1 card for you, 1 for me. Higher card wins. "That's it?" Maya asked. "That's chance." "No," Priya said. She stared at the deck. Maya knew that look. Priya had worn it before organic chemistry exams, escape rooms, and arguments with parking enforcement. "What?" Maya whispered. Priya looked around the alcove, at the old bottles, at the framed maps, at Harlan Bell's watch chain, at the deck in his hand. "This place is old," Priya said, "but it likes rules. Old rules." Harlan's expression cooled. Priya pointed at the deck. "If this is truly a chance, then Maya cuts." A murmur passed through the curtains. Harlan's pale eyes narrowed, then he offered the deck. Maya cut it. Priya drew first. 7 of hearts. Harlan drew. King of spades. The room exhaled. Harlan smiled. Maya looked at Priya, but Priya did not seem defeated. "Second trial," Harlan said. "Memory." The table changed. The cards vanished. In their place appeared a small silver bowl filled with dark water. "Name what the seller has taken from you," Harlan said, "and reclaim it. Fail and lose another." Maya looked into the bowl. The surface rippled. She saw her father's porch again. The rain, the grill smokes. Her little brother is laughing. Then the image shifted. Her brother's face blurred. Panic surged in her chest. "No!" she whispered. "What has the seller taken?" Harlan asked. Maya squeezed her eyes shut. She had to remember, not the big things, not the obvious things. Memory did not live in labels. It lived in tiny, stubborn details. Her brother had a scar on his chin from falling off a scooter. He hated mushrooms. He laughed through his nose when he was trying not to laugh. His name. The seller pressed against her mind like cold fingers. Maya slammed her palm on the table. "Lucas," she said. "Lucas Ellis. He has a scar on his chin. He calls me May even though I hate it. He owes me my blue suitcase." The bowl cracked. Warmth rushed back into her chest. Harlan's smile faded. 1 to 1, Priya whispered. The seller groaned. "Truth," Harlan said. The final object remained, the shot glass full of black liquid. "To win truth, you must answer truth," Harlan said. "No lies, no pretty masks, no brave little speeches." He looked at Maya. You first. Why did you come down here? Maya wanted to say curiosity, friendship, graduation, the token, the stranger, but the black liquid shimmered, and she understood. The cellar did not want facts, it wanted truth. She swallowed. Because I didn't want the night to end, she said. Because if the night ended, then everything after it would start. Jobs, distance, losing people slowly instead of all at once. I thought if we kept moving, kept laughing, kept drinking, we wouldn't have to say goodbye. The room went silent. Harlan turned to Priya. And you? Priya's jaw tightened. Because I'm scared they won't need me anymore, she said. I act like I'm the practical one, the responsible one. But I liked being needed. I liked being the person who remembered the plan, checked the exits, and kept everyone from falling apart. I'm scared when we leave UMKC, I won't know who I am without them. Maya looked at her, eyes burning. Priya did not look away. The black liquid in the glass turned clear. Harlan sat back. The brass key rose from the table. You have won 2, he said. Maya grabbed the key. No, Priya said. 3. We want 3. Harlan's face became still. Around them the cellar hissed. To win 3, he said softly, you must answer for the city. The walls shifted. The alcove fell away. Maya and Priya stood in the center of the bar. Every trapped face turned toward them. Jordan and Eli's photographs hung side by side on the wall, frozen beneath fresh brass labels. The clock read 2:53. Harlan stood behind the bar, no longer pretending to be anything human. His shadow stretched up the brick wall in the shape of antlers, roots and reaching hands. Westport remembers what the living forget, he said. Tell me what came first, not the bars, not the students, not the neon. What was this place before it learned to drink? Maya's mind went blank. Kansas City history, the puzzle. Her history professor in her sophomore year had gone on and on about Westport, about trails, trade, the frontier. She had half listened because Jordan had been drawing a cartoon possum in the margin of her notebook. Priya grabbed her arm. Think, she whispered. Harlan lifted the bell. 2:56. Maya looked at the photographs. In 1926, the flappers, the 1950s jackets, the 1978 denim, the 1990s concert shirts, the 2008 bachelorette party, all of them young, all of them were trapped in the same place, believing the city began when they arrived. What came first? Not the bars, not the buildings, a road, a crossing, a jumping-off point. Maya's eyes widened. Westport was a frontier town, she said, a trading post, a starting place. Harlan's bell hand paused. Priya picked it up, voice gaining strength. It was connected to the Santa Fe Trail, Oregon Trail, California Trail. People came through here before Kansas City became Kansas City. Maya stepped forward. It wasn't built to trap people, she said. It was built for departure. The cellar screamed. Every glass on every table shattered at once. Harlan staggered back as cracks raced through the brick walls. The photographs began to shake. One by one, faces inside them turned toward Maya and Priya. Maya lifted the brass key. This place forgot what Westport was, she said. It's not the last stop. Priya grabbed her hand. It's where people begin again. Maya drove the key into the air. For a second there was no door. Then every door appeared at once. The entrance, the hallway, the alley stairwell. The impossible brick wall splits open to reveal gray pre-dawn light. The photographs burst, not burned, burst, like bubbles breaking. Jordan fell out of the wall onto the floor, coughing and clutching his chest. Eli landed beside him, gasping like he had been underwater. Around the bar, others began to fall from their frames, too. A girl in a 1960s dress, a man in a leather jacket, a woman in a sequined top from New Year's Eve 1999. Some were confused, some sobbed, some laughed, some simply ran. The cellar roared. Harlan Bell stood behind the bar, his face twisting between rage and relief. Maya thought he would attack them. Instead, he looked at the open door. For the first time, he seemed afraid, then tired. So tired. "I only wanted it never to end," he whispered. Maya understood him then, and hated that she did. Nothing good came from refusing an ending. Priya pulled Jordan to his feet. Maya grabbed Eli. Together, the four friends ran. The cellar collapsed behind them in music and screams and shattering glass. They raced up the crumbling brick stairs, lungs burning, hands scraping against damp walls. The fog above them turned silver. Maya burst out first, then Priya, then Jordan, then Eli. They tumbled into the alley behind the dumpster, landing on wet pavement beneath the pale gold light of morning. For several seconds, none of them moved. Cars passed on Westport Road. A delivery truck rumbled by. Somewhere nearby, someone sprayed down a sidewalk. The city smelled like coffee, rain, trash, and sunrise. Real smells, living smells. Jordan sat up and immediately began patting his own face. "I'm hot again," he said. Priya burst into tears and smacked his arm. "Ow! That's for almost becoming wall art." Eli lay flat on his back, staring at the sky. "I vote we never go to a second location again." Maya laughed. It came out broken and shaky, but it was laughter. Then she pulled all three of them into a hug. Priya held on first, then Eli, then Jordan, who cried openly and denied it while crying. Their phones were dead, all four of them. When the screens finally powered on, the time read 7:12 a.m. Saturday. Same day, no missing years, no vanished identities, no erased contacts. Jordan still had photos of them from earlier that night. Blurry selfies, bad lighting. Priya is making a face at her blue drink. Eli looks suspicious in the alley. Maya is holding up the token. Except that the token in the photo was gone. Her hand was empty. They walked onto Westport Road together, exhausted, filthy, and alive. Near the sidewalk, beside one of the historic markers, Maya stopped. A new plaque had appeared beneath the old one. Not bronze, not official-looking, just a small black plate set into the brick. On it were 4 engraved words, "Begin again." "Go home." Beneath the words was an archival photograph. Maya's breath caught. It showed the inside of the founder's cellar in 1926. Flappers and men in suits raised glasses beneath velvet lamps. But the photograph had changed. In the back of the room stood Harlan Bell, no longer behind the bar. He was near the open door, hat in hand, looking toward daylight. And beside him, dozens of people from dozens of decades were walking out. The woman in the silver dress, the man in the denim jacket, the girl from the 1960s, the boy who had forgotten his name, all leaving, all three. Jordan leaned closer. "Do you see us?" Maya scanned the photo, fear tightening her throat. They were not in it. None of them. Priya exhaled. "Good." Eli smiled faintly. "Best group photo we ever made." Maya laughed again, and this time it did not hurt. They found a diner a few blocks away and took the biggest corner booth. They ordered pancakes, eggs, coffee, orange juice, hash browns, and water. They all drank like survivors crossing a desert. For a while, nobody talked about the cellar. Then Jordan raised his coffee mug. "To never drink mystery basement cocktails again." Priya lifted her glass of water. "To check exits." Eli lifted his orange juice. "To go home before midnight." Maya looked at them. Her friends, still here, still themselves. The future was still coming. Chicago, St. Louis, New York, Kansas City, distance, change, all the endings they had been afraid of. But endings, she understood now, were not curses. They were doors. Maya raised her coffee. "To the last semester," she said. Jordan smiled. "To the first morning after." They clinked mugs gently this time. Outside, Westport woke around them. Sunlight touched the old brick buildings. The fog disappeared. The bars were closed, their neon signs dark, their doors locked until nightfall. And somewhere beneath the city, where the founder's cellar had once waited with velvet booths and hungry walls, there was only earth, silence, and the memory of music fading at last. The four friends left the diner together just after 9. Before they split up, Priya made them stop on the sidewalk. "Same date every year," she said. Maya smiled. "Dinner." "Early dinner," Eli added. "Above ground," Jordan said. They promised. And this time they meant it. Because some nights become legends, some places try to keep you, and some friendships are strong enough to find the door.